In this video, we're going to talk about creating and interpreting a bar graph. Now, a bar graph or a bar chart is simply a graph with rectangular bars plotted either vertically or horizontally with lengths that are proportional to the values they represent. Now, bar graphs are typically used for discrete data, and discrete data is just isolated points on a number line. And bar graphs shouldn't be used for continuous data, where continuous data is just data that is measured to some sort of degree of accuracy. So for this example here, create a bar graph displaying the number of goals each of the following players has scored in the years 2006, 07, 08, and 09. And the 3 players are given there and their goals scored respectively. I want you to now pause the video and go ahead and create this bar graph based on these 3 players and the goals that they've scored in the corresponding years. So I'm going to go ahead and plot my bar graph horizontally as opposed to vertically. So you'll notice here on the one axis I have the years that the goals were scored, and on the other axes I have the amount of goals scored here. Now you'll notice that I went to a high of 70 here because the largest amount of goals scored was by Ovechkin in 2008, which was 65. So I went up to 70 on that axis. Now, before I go ahead and start this bar graph, what we're going to first need to do is create a legend indicating which player represents the color of the bar given. Now here on the left I have indicated that Ovechkin is the light blue, Crosby is the green, and Zetterberg is the purple. So we're going to start with the year 2006. In 2006, Alex Ovechkin scored 50 goals, whereas Sidney Crosby scored 51 goals, and Henrik Zetterberg scored 23 goals. So we're going to plot this on our bar graph. Let's start with Ovechkin, and so Ovechkin scores 50 goals in that year of 2006. So we're going to create a light blue bar within the year 2006 for Ovechkin. That's going to go right up to 50 to represent 50 goals. Next, we're going to create a green bar right next to that one, indicating Crosby's goals scored was 51 for that year. And next, we're going to create a purple bar indicating Zetterberg's 23 goals scored in the year 2006. And so that represents the goals scored in 2006 for those 3 players. Now for the year 2007, you'll notice that Ovechkin scored 56 goals, Crosby scored 33 this time, and Zetterberg scored 31 in that year of 2007. So we're going to create a very similar bar chart here and put it in the year 2007. But again, Ovechkin scored 56 goals this year, so he's going to stretch up a little bit higher this year. Crosby only scored 33 goals in the year 2007, so we're going to have to shrink his a little bit down to 33. And Zetterberg actually scored 31 goals this year. So that's the bar graph that represents 2007. Now in 2008, you'll notice that Ovechkin scored 65 that year, Crosby scored 24 that year, and Zetterberg scored 43 that year. So we're going to create another bar graph depicting those events there. We're going to have to stretch Ovechkin up to 65. We're going to have to shrink Crosby down to 24 goals this year, and we'll have to stretch Zetterberg up to 43 goals this year. Now in the year 2009, finally, our Ovechkin scored 46, Crosby 36, and Zetterberg 33 goals. So we're going to create a very similar bar chart depicting those events there. Again, Ovechkin scored 46 goals that year, 2009. Crosby scored 36 goals that year in 2009, and Zetterberg scored 33 goals that year in 2009. So you can see that the bar graph allows us to easily visualize the amount of goals scored each year. And so for example, it's shown that in 2008, Ovechkin has scored the most amount of goals.